All right, so we are going to be doing a deep dive into this article that is written by Ben Shapiro. It's okay. So here's the thing: you can never match the magnitude of the conspiracy theories pushed by Alex Jones because trying to match, Obama wants to put everyone in FEMA camps, or Obama's going to take all of your guns. They're turning the frogs gay. I mean, you can't match the magnitude of those conspiracy theories. And I'm not trying to act like this is an apt comparison between what Ben Shapiro is saying and he's going to take all our guns or they're turning the frogs gay. I'm not trying to do that. All I'm saying is there's a clear pattern of conspiracy against the left. But essentially, Ben Shapiro is saying that he's exposing the real reason why lefties want free college education. Now, to preface this article that I'm going to be going into, I want to say that free college education is an extremely important part of the progressive platform because education really is the key to getting a higher paying job and to being able to really support yourself. And to, if you want to start a family, of course, that's the way to go. Education is superbly important in terms of, because if you want to have people, functioning in higher paying jobs, you have to go through education. You need to, pick up a trade or get a bachelor's or something, get a master's, get a PhD. But you need to do one of those things to really have something that will be really enough to support yourself. And we're in a situation now where tuition is blowing up, it's ballooning, and people are forced to pay debt for decades on end, for years on end, I should say. It's insane amounts of money. I mean, some schools, you're looking at dropping a lot of money going just to get an education. And so it's insane because there are those who can't afford that and go do that. And then there are those who are going there but are going to have to figure out a way to really deal with all of the money that they're spending on their own education. And it's sort of a fucked up society when education is something that you buy. It's a fucked up society when education is something that you have to buy. It shouldn't be something that's for sale. It should be something that should be covered. And also, another reason why college education is super important, besides having people being able to support their families, is that getting a higher paying job means more consumer spending, which is more beneficial for the economy. And also, on top of that, getting better budgets for the government. How do you get more tax receipts? People making more money, therefore applying to higher tax brackets and paying more money in taxes. So the government essentially pays for free college education, and in turn they get decades upon decades of higher tax receipts from people who now have higher paying jobs. So it ends up being a benefit. And free college education is massively, massively important. So let's get into this article. So it says Ben Shapiro, real reason Democrats want free college tuition. This was written on Newsweek. So here's what it says. It says, one of the key platforms for Democratic contenders this year has become free college tuition. Paying for college, the theory goes, will alleviate the burden of attending college for lower income students, thereby opening job prospects and new economic vistas. The cure for economic inequality lies in greater educational opportunity. That, while there is no cure for economic inequality, because the point that we're at now, it's impossible to solve economic inequality except for a full-on French Revolution or a full-on crazy high insane taxes, which both are not a good idea in any way, shape, or form. So there is no cure to economic inequality because there's no way you can equate anywhere close anymore, because you have Bezos, who's worth over 120 billion, and then someone who gets an education, at best you're looking at go to med school, become a doctor, earn like 400 a year, 200 to 400 a year. That's not even it's not even close to not even like, it's not even calculable as to how close. It doesn't even make it close. So it's laughable that he tries to present this as an attempt to cure economic inequality, which that's not the goal of it. But the stepping stone to truly being able to support yourself and to be, have more money to live comfortably is through education. And he says, it's a lovely theory. It's also completely wrong. So this is something interesting because I actually saw him on the Rubin Report, in which there was a question that I think someone in the audience asked of, why do Jewish people do so well and their communities are doing so well or something like that. And he essentially echoed that we take education very seriously. So I don't understand how providing free education would not incentivize and allow more people to be able to go to school, which is what you say is what make Jewish communities so good. So I don't understand that. That doesn't make sense. He says it's a lovely theory. It's also completely wrong. There's little evidence to suggest that a college degree alone is likely to raise a given person's income. What? Says, yes, college-educated people out-earn non-college educated people, but that's because they're different people with different levels of intelligence in many cases. What? He says, Orrin Cass of the Manhattan Institute points out that, quote, the vast majority of community college enrollees drop out. Fewer than 60% of students complete degrees within even 6 years at the schools where they first enroll. Furthermore, according to the Federal Reserve Bank of New York, 4 in 10 recent graduates work non-degree requiring jobs. As Cass points out, the bottom half of the earnings distribution for college grads, not just enrollees but graduates, sits lower than the top half of the earnings distribution for those with only a high school education. In other words, higher earning high school graduates do better than low earning college graduates. So here's one thing that I want to say. So I want to say that for the lower earning college graduates, those people are probably actually working better jobs in terms of less remedial labor, and so therefore it's not as bodily taxing. And I don't really understand where he's trying to go with the community college enrollees dropping out. I don't know what that has to do with providing people with a better educational opportunity. I don't understand. I don't understand what that means. But the source that he links to, I mean, on the face of it, it literally says, and I'll read it to you. It says full-time workers age 25 and older without a high school diploma had a median weekly earnings of $494 in the first quarter of 2016. That compares with the median of $679 for high school graduates who never attended college and $782 for workers with some college or an associate's degree. Median weekly earnings were $1155 for workers with a bachelor's degree and $1435 for workers with an advanced degree, a master's, professional, or doctorate. So if you look at that just right there, that is enough evidence to show you that median weekly earnings are far higher when you have a degree. Okay, far higher. And so the bottom percentile, it's really honestly irrelevant because you should pick a major that's actually going to pay more money when it comes in, and he's gonna touch on that. He's actually going to touch on that as well. But it says, and major matters. According to the Census Bureau and the American Community Survey, the following majors earn most among graduates: petroleum engineering, pharmaceutical science and administration, metallurgical engineering, mining and mineral engineering, chemical engineering, electrical engineering, aerospace and it goes on. This is who earns the last: majors in family and consumer science, drama and theater arts, elementary education, theology, visual and performing arts, teacher education, social work, studio arts, human services, and community organization and early childhood education. That means that directing high school students into liberal arts majors with promises of big bucks in their future is a lie, and subsidizing that lie with government dollars doesn't make it any less of a lie. Here's the fundamental problem with this conspiracy theory. Nobody on planet Earth who is arguing and advocating for higher education is trying to direct high school students into liberal arts majors. Nobody has said that. Bernie Sanders never has said, all these people, we need more people getting into liberal arts majors. Nobody says that. That's not, you don't even have a quote of anybody saying it. You don't even have a quote of anybody saying it. So that just doesn't make any fucking sense. But it's hilarious because with this attacking such a stupid thing, it could actually be saying something serious. Like if this dunce actually wanted to be a productive person instead of being a lying douche who's just making shit up, which nobody's directing high school students into liberal arts majors with promises of big bucks in their future. Bernie Sanders not doing that. I'm not doing that. Nobody's doing that because it's not a thing. And nobody's subsidizing that lie with government dollars, because the whole premise of the statement is that there is a lie that people are directing people into, which is just not the fucking case at all. It doesn't make any fucking sense whatsoever. And if this dude actually wanted to be productive in a certain way, he could have made this article talking about, hey, instead of going in, look at all these different majors. Look at the difference in pay. If you're going to college, this is the major you should do instead because it earns more. Because that's a serious thing, and that's something I actually agree with. If you're gonna go to college, I definitely recommend, if you don't have because all of the social sciences obviously pay less for sure. Now, if you're not, especially if you're not specifically into any of the social sciences, I highly recommend going into something that's going to pay more. Anything in the science field is going to pay much better money. You can even just pick up a trade and make more money. And you can just, essentially anything in the medical/science field is going to pay more in general. But I strongly recommend that for sure, no doubt. And that's what this article should be talking about, instead of making an article premised on a bullshit lie that I'm out here directing high school students into liberal arts majors. Oh, I don't even know where the fuck that came from. And he should, if he wanted to really back up his statement, he could have actually provided something here, like a statement from Bernie Sanders, or a statement from, I don't even know what other Democrat actually supports free college education. I'm sure there are some, but he could have provided a quote. But do you know why he didn't actually write a quote? It's because it doesn't fucking exist. There is not, I repeat, there is not anyone who is telling people to flood into these liberal arts majors saying, hey man, you're going to make millions of dollars. Now, he finishes off this article saying, now imagine a world in which banks were the sole source of loans for college students. Presumably, they'd ask relevant questions before handing out cash. Prospective major, grade point average, SAT scores, job aspirations, loans for 2.9 GPA drama majors who hope one day to work in mime would be difficult to come by, but with the government prepared to hand out cash, such considerations would go out the window. So here's the thing that doesn't make sense. This is bullshit too, because the person who gets a 2.9 GPA is probably not even going to get into really any colleges anyways. So I don't even get where that came from. I just don't understand that. But the thing is that people who are going to get in colleges who actually have higher GPAs, they shouldn't have to worry about economic burdens because they're trying to get a higher education in order to get a higher paying job. And I don't think that Ben Shapiro even sees or acknowledges any benefit of this whatsoever. He doesn't talk anything about, hey, think about, he doesn't say, hey, think about, the tax revenue increases of the government. I don't even know if he wants tax increases for the government revenue-wise anyways. He probably wants people paying less by being poor, which is insane. But this is one of the shittiest articles I've ever read in my entire life, because he's literally arguing against providing more educational opportunity and influencing people to go into the educational fields. But there are two sides to the educational importance. One of them being that, it's to help other people go who can't go right now, but it's also people who are going to go in. They need their extreme economic burdens need to be alleviated, because they're so massive. They are insanely massive. So Ben Shapiro does not fail to act like a complete condescending douchebag in his article once again, and the entire premise of the article is completely bullshit, based on a complete lie that there's some weird, he's proposing some weird conspiracy theory that, the libtards are, trying to get people into these liberal arts majors and saying, man, you're going to become as rich as Floyd Mayweather, you're going to make millions. That is a really asinine claim to make, and the reason why he didn't provide a quote or a comment or any of that is because it doesn't exist.